This message is not for everyone, but if your soul feels a strange pull, if your heart skips a beat, if your breath catches for no reason, then this message is for you, because someone or something has asked about your address. They're carrying a white suitcase, and you must understand this. Don't open it, not if even a thread of it feels off, because sometimes what's being handed to you isn't meant to be received. It's meant to be noticed. The white suitcase. It's not always a metaphor. Sometimes it's an omen, a spiritual checkpoint, a test that doesn't come with alarms or chaos, but with silence, with stillness, with beauty. And that's the danger. The most deceptive messages are not ugly. They are breathtaking, wrapped in white, glowing with familiarity, and timed to appear when you feel open, vulnerable, searching. This suitcase may not be physical. It may arrive as a person from your past, a job offer that aligns too perfectly, a dream that lingers beyond reason, a stranger's eyes that feel like a memory you never lived. It comes subtly, disguised as divine timing. But beneath the light is interference. Your body knows before your mind does. If your breath shortens, if your heart races, if your stomach tightens at the gift's arrival, that is your answer. Because you're in the midst of a spiritual audit. You might be feeling restlessness, insomnia, sudden emotional waves, old wounds rising again. This is not regression. It's a review. The suitcase is a checkpoint. And whoever asked for your location, they are not lost. They know exactly where you are. Because your frequency has shifted, you've become traceable. Not everyone gets to this level. Fewer still remain protected. That's why this message is reaching you now. Because a choice is coming, and with it, two timelines. One leads to expansion, the other to entrapment. When divine timing brings you a true gift, it arrives with peace, not puzzles. If it feels like a riddle, pause. If it feels like a rescue, ask yourself, who were you when you prayed for this? And who are you now? Because the version of you that wanted it may no longer need it. This white suitcase could contain an old dream, a past relationship, a familiar identity. But do not mistake familiarity for alignment. The test is not whether you're brave enough to open it. The test is whether you're wise enough to let it stay closed, because unopened can be sacred too. Not every door is meant to be walked through. Some are meant to be watched, observed. Some are traps, built not to harm you, but to call back a version of you that no longer exists. That's what the universe is watching for now. Not your courage, but your clarity. Will you trust your inner no, even when it arrives in a velvet box? Something is trying to pull you back, not maliciously, but magnetically. Because your energy has changed. You've risen. You've healed. You've let go. And in doing so, you created a void. Old timelines, old stories. They feel the space you left behind, and they want to pull you back in. But not with chaos, with beauty, with romance, with nostalgia. That's what this suitcase is. An echo, dressed up as an invitation. Don't get curious. Get clear. Is this truly for your future? Or is it just a detour, beautifully wrapped in white? You're not being tested to see if you'll leap. You're being asked, Will you trust yourself when it's quiet, when no one is watching, when what appears is everything you thought you wanted? But you feel that one breath of hesitation because that breath is sacred. And so are you. If this message reached your soul, leave a comment with the words, "I trust my inner knowing." Let the universe witness your alignment. Share this with someone who may be standing at their own crossroads. Listen closely. Your address was asked for, not in words, not through mail, but energetically, which means someone or something tuned into your frequency and requested access. Access to your time, your energy, your peace. They may not even know they did it, but the universe does. And you are beginning to remember. The suitcase they carry is white. That's not a coincidence. That's a design. It is made to look safe, sacred, necessary. But hear this, not all light is divine. There is such a thing as false light. It flatters, it comforts, it soothes you into silence, but it costs you your center. This isn't about fear, it's about foresight. You're not being asked to make a decision right now. You're being asked to remember your knowing, because they'll tell you it's harmless. It's just a message, a memory, an opportunity. But your nervous system knows better. If your hands tremble, even slightly, if your chest tightens, if you feel the need to justify or explain your discomfort, pause. That's your body speaking truth. Your mind hasn't caught up to yet. You are protected, you are surrounded, you have ancestors watching, guides guarding, and the universe has intercepted energies before they reached you. But this time, it needs your cooperation. This isn't about avoiding something evil. It's about sensing something off, slightly, subtly, spiritually. The white suitcase may contain a contract, not on paper, but in soul codes, old spiritual agreements you didn't consciously make, patterns you thought you broke, attachments you thought you severed. The universe will bring them back, not to punish you, but to give you the opportunity to respond differently, from a higher vibration. What will you choose when the old pattern knocks dressed in white? Because you've been here before. Maybe not in this lifetime, but somewhere in your soul's memory. This same test, this same invitation, this same eerie sense of déjà vu. That's why it feels familiar, because it is. But this time, you don't react from fear. You don't chase from desire. You respond from spiritual authority. This is about trust, not just in the universe, but in yourself, because you know. You always knew. But sometimes the noise outside drowns the whisper within. Not this time. This time, you listen. And in that silence, you'll know whether to open it or to walk away. And listen, walking away is an act of faith. Sometimes, the most divine thing you can do is not engage. Say no. Close the door. Send the suitcase back. Not everything is yours to carry, no matter how shiny it looks, no matter how familiar it feels. You're not here to collect more burdens in elegant disguise. You're here to protect the frequency you fought to earn. So if something feels off, not terrifying, not wrong, just off, believe that. That's divine intelligence trying to guide you. The suitcase may arrive, but opening it, that's on you. You've already passed many unseen tests. You've healed in silence. You've grown in private. And this is the final layer of an old cycle, a loop trying to close. But it can only do so if you don't reopen it. Be wise. Be still. Be sovereign. If the suitcase shows up, remember, it's not about what's inside. It's about who you become when you choose not to open it. That's your power. That's your signal to the universe that you are no longer tempted by shiny distractions. You're here for truth, not theater. And truth doesn't knock in white suitcases asking for your address. It arrives in peace. It comes with clarity, not confusion. It brings stillness, not urgency. You might ask, why now? Why does this energy resurface at this very moment? Why does it circle back, arriving unannounced under the disguise of mystery and potential? Because you are standing at a threshold, a doorway between timelines, a silent apex of a quantum shift. What you're feeling is not random. It's what happens when your spirit steps into the future before your body catches up, and reality begins to test you. Are you sure? Have you really let go? Do you still need to chase, prove, please? The suitcase is symbolic, but the temptation is real, not the shallow kind, not obvious, but soul deep. This suitcase may carry something that once fed you, perhaps even saved you, but now it is not nourishment, it is distraction, wearing the mask of purpose. The universe doesn't test your strength with storms anymore. It tests your subtlety. It asks, can you feel what's off even when everything looks right? Can you hear the whisper beneath the roar of your desires? Can you trust your knowing even when the world claps for your delusion? So, if the suitcase comes, pause, breathe, feel. You don't need more evidence, you need clarity. Let your body speak. Let your soul guide. And if it feels even slightly off, walk away. That too is a prayer. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are here to complete them. And some of the most sacred completions happen in silence, with a quiet no, a closed door, an unopened suitcase. That's your signal. That's your evolution. That's your freedom. Comment below. I trust my higher knowing. Can you walk away from what you once prayed for? When your soul whispers, it's no longer right. Have you noticed it lately? The strange tension. The way things feel both exciting and eerie, you're not imagining it. That inner unease, that pull in your chest, that pause behind your smile, that's not anxiety. That's spiritual pressure. You're being compressed into clarity, squeezed gently by the universe, into truth. The suitcase. It's not just a metaphor. It's a container, a vessel of unintegrated energy, of old prayers, of unmet longings, of versions of you that no longer exist, but haven't yet been released. It holds fragments of past lives, past choices, past selves, still whispering your name. And now, the universe watches to see what you will choose when faced with the familiar disguised as fate. Will you default to the known because it's easier? Or will you trust that the unknown may be safer, simply because it aligns with your growth? Remember, intuition doesn't shout. It whispers. And right now, that whisper is saying, wait, hold your power, feel everything, open nothing. Unless your spirit confirms it 3 times, You are protected, but only if you honor the boundaries your evolution now requires. You may feel tempted to ask someone, to pull a card, to seek a sign, to find something, anything, to validate the feeling you've already felt. That's human. But this time, the answer will not come from the outside. That, too, is part of the test. You've outgrown the need for external validation of your internal truth. You already know whether or not this is for you. You knew before the message arrived. You felt it in the strange dream, in the sudden pull toward a memory, in the resurfacing of something you buried but never truly destroyed. The white suitcase is not a gift. It is a symbol of an unresolved spiritual contract. And if you open it, you re-engage, you reattach, you recirculate old karma. And this time, the cost will not be obvious. It will be your peace, your alignment, your ability to move forward without karmic residue. You are being offered a rare window, a doorway, to break a cycle that's been repeating across lifetimes. That's why it feels heavy, even though nothing has happened yet. You are standing in the energy of the decision. Before the decision, this moment is not rare because of what's arriving. It's rare because of who you've become. In past versions of yourself, you would have opened the suitcase, rushed toward it, justified it, romanticized it, welcomed it, even thanked it. You would have silenced your body's hesitation, dismissed your discernment, told yourself, if it comes wrapped in white, it must be good. But now, you know better. White is not always purity if it's being used to silence your gut. Politeness is not peace if it comes at the cost of your spirit. The universe doesn't speak through flattery. It speaks through resonance. You don't need to fear the suitcase. You just need to honor yourself. Enough to choose clarity over curiosity. This isn't about missing an opportunity. It's about reclaiming your sovereignty. You are no longer the kind of soul that needs to see what's inside to believe what you feel. Your alignment is the only confirmation required. And if you've been seeing number patterns 111222555 over and over again, no, you're not hallucinating. You're witnessing order peeking through the chaos. The universe is speaking. It's saying, you're ready to say no to what you once said yes to. You're ready to walk away from what once felt like salvation, but now feels like a cage draped in silk. You're ready to trust that your body knows before your mind does. You're ready to remember that your evolution is sacred, and anything that asks you to pause it, even if it looks divine, is not meant for you anymore. So when the suitcase arrives, as a memory, as a message, as a dream, as a person, as a perfect opportunity, don't open it right away. Sit with it. Breathe near it. Feel the truth of it. And if your soul doesn't leap with peace, leave it closed. That silence will be your greatest act of spiritual power. You are not here to recycle karma. You are here to release it. You are not here to chase clarity. You are here to be it. And you are no longer here to mistake beautiful packaging for divine purpose. You are here to walk in truth, to walk in wisdom, to walk away. When your soul says, "Not this time," comment below, "I choose clarity over curiosity." You are receiving codes, messages from your higher self, marking the moments when reality thins and divine intervention becomes more accessible. The suitcase is part of that intervention, but not as a gift, as a signal, a spiritual decoy, testing whether you've truly internalized the lesson or still need the experience. Sometimes, the universe will send a trigger, not to break you, but to see if you still respond. And the absence of reaction? That's not numbness, that's evolution. So when the suitcase comes, and you feel that hum in your chest, that subtle discomfort, that unspoken knowing that something isn't right, listen. That is your spiritual immune system, and it is never wrong. There are entities, people, even memories, attracted to your light, but not all are meant to walk with you. When your frequency rises, you become visible in the unseen realms. You glow, you transmit, and that glow calls in not just soul family, but soul lessons. The suitcase is one of those lessons. Its arrival is proof that your aura has become magnetic. This is not a threat. It's not a warning. It's an offering of choice, to repeat or to rise. And while others may think you're overreacting, being paranoid, reading too deeply, ignore them. They are not walking your path. They do not carry your wisdom. And they have not paid the spiritual cost that gave you this level of perception. This isn't paranoia. It's perception, honed by pain, refined by love, sharpened by clarity. You've earned your edge. Now, use it. You are not being punished. You are being initiated into a level of intuitive leadership that cannot be taught, only chosen. This moment, whether or not you open the suitcase, it's symbolic of a far greater spiritual contract. Will you trust divine signals over surface symbols? Will you choose peace over possibility? Will you honor your inner wisdom more than your curiosity? You may never know what's in the suitcase, and that is the point. Not all wisdom comes from experience. Some of it comes from restraint, from listening to your soul when your ego wants adventure, from saying no, not because you're afraid, but because you know. This is you choosing your higher self over your old self. And that is the most radical act of self-love you can offer to the universe. Your guides are close, closer than they've ever been. If the air feels heavier today, it's not danger. It's density, spiritual density. You are standing at a quantum crossroads, and every timeline is watching. Some will close the moment you say no. Others will activate the moment you walk away. This is not manipulation. This is divine orchestration. You are not alone. You are surrounded by light beings, ancestors, angels, who are waiting for your choice before they act. You asked for protection. This is part of the answer. It just doesn't look like a shield. It looks like a suitcase you don't open. And that must be enough. Sometimes the miracle is not in what arrives, but in what doesn't get in. The invitation you never reply to, the person you don't text back, the idea you release before it roots. The white suitcase is the final offering from an outdated version of your life. It is the echo of who you were, sent to test if you still identify with that energy. You don't. That's why this moment feels strange. Instead of exciting, familiar, but hollow. That's your growth speaking. This is the moment you affirm with action what you've already chosen in silence. You no longer open things just because they're handed to you. So here we are. The suitcase may arrive, or maybe it already has. In a memory, a conversation, a recurring thought, you'll recognize it when your breath pauses, even slightly, when time stretches for just a second, when the air in the room shifts. That's when you'll know this is it, the test, disguised as a gift. And in that moment, you must choose trust over temptation, peace over proof, knowing over curiosity. You don't need to open anything to prove you've evolved. You already are the proof. If your soul resonates with this message, if you feel the presence of divine signs guiding you today, type 111 in the comments. Let the universe know, I'm listening, I'm watching, I'm ready.